small car roundtable discussion. The entire name, that entire name is going to be up for discussion at some point here tonight. But good evening, welcome, glad you can all be with us this evening. It's Reading Plastic Fabricators Small Car Night here at the Racing Legends Reunion and Car Show. This panel discussion is being presented by, we're playing with volume now, listen. The panel discussion is being presented by 600scene.com, and that provides a perfect segue as we get into the introduction of our panel up here. 600scene.com founder, one of the founders and owners and operators is Mr. Kevin Steele. Kevin, give a wave. There we go. Kevin, a micro sprint racer himself, competing in the 600 micros, and this year, race director at the Kutztown Fairgrounds on Wednesday nights. Ready for that?
Yeah, I keep forgetting about that.
You won't forget, come May 11th. To Kevin's left, a panelist, you've been with us all 3 years, I believe, right, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Panelist, the owner of Hyper Racing out in Lewisberry, Pennsylvania. You gonna adjust me there, Pete? Thanks. Mike Dicely, esteemed micro sprint driver for how many years, or don't we want to divulge?
30.
He's not kidding. He looks like he's 30, but he's been racing for 30 years. Mike, great to have you here with us again this year. To my immediate left, you heard him earlier if you were here for the interviews, legend car driver Tim Henry from Allentown?
Orfield, actually. But
Orfield, we know where that is. Just not that far down the road from the Fairgrounds Mall.
yeah, about an hour.
Give or take.
Yeah.
To my right, on the far right, micro sprint car owner and the originator, the man behind the 600 Pro Series, Mr. Wayne Lesher, fresh off a racing trip to Florida. We'll hear about that a little bit. Good time?
Oh, very good time. Come back to this. 6 inches of snow and
come back to snow. Wayne, it's great to have you here. First year on the panel. Last year, this guy was supposed to be here with us and kind of got snowed in or snowed out. I don't know which, but the weather prevented him from attending. We're very glad to have the creator of the XL 600 Modified Series and a well-known veteran racer himself, Doug Border, here with us on the panel. Doug, welcome.
Thanks a lot for having me this year again.
Glad you're here to represent the XL Modifieds, and I know you've got a lot to talk about. And my name, for those of you who don't know, is Barry Angstadt. I get put in the middle of this esteemed panel, and hopefully we're going to have a lot of fun for the next hour or so.
We got to tell him about your accomplishments too, Barry. He is the famed announcer of the historic Lanco Speedway. Does an awesome job, and you're going to be announcing where else this year?
Also, I'll get to kind of, I don't want to say practice because I don't want to diminish it. I think it's going to keep me in practice though. Wednesday nights at the Kutztown Fairgrounds. Can't wait for that. Wingless 600s, XL Sportsman, Slingshots, 270s. It's going to be great. And then Saturday nights at Lanco. So it'll be a nice Wednesday, Saturday deal.
And you're also a TV star now, aren't you?
I wouldn't say star.
And he's on the cable channel.
Cable 11, Blue Ridge Cable 11. I know that reaches some parts of the western Berks County, but Cable 11 comes down and records about 8 races per year at the Clyde. Tim, are we in for, have we heard anything about, we're in for about 8 shows? 7 races. So those of you who might be able to get Blue Ridge Cable 11 can watch those telecasts, and if not, we've got some DVDs, right, that we can make available. The racing great, the action is exciting. Okay, now, the reason we're here, and we apologize, Pete Nappenberger is roving. He was supposed to have the roving microphone. Technical difficulties have sidelined that microphone, so If you have a question out there in the audience, if you would like to make a comment on anything that is discussed up here, find Pete. Pete, raise your hand for everyone in case somebody's just arriving. And Pete will escort you to the front, and we will just use one of these corded microphones to allow you to ask your question. Yeah, you're very good at that. This is Pete Feltenberger's slingshot, one of them right in front of us. The other one's sitting over there. Very nice, Pete. You designed them? Amy? Well, naturally, your wife would design. Oh, not that Amy. Oh, Amy Designs. Kurt Amy. Got it. I was trying to give credit to your wife. I was trying to... All right. She's the car owner. So Pete is there if you've got questions or would like to make some comments. Let's get started, and I know, and I say this every year, we're kind of preaching to the choir up here, guys. You know, we're trying to spread the word, and we're very grateful to Brett Deo for giving us that opportunity each year here at the show. We're trying to get the word out. We know, no matter if it's micro sprints, legends, XL modifieds, slingshots, small card, we've got a great product that we put out in the racetrack each and every week, and we're trying to spread that word. We want to get more people enthused about it, get more people to come and watch. One of the reasons to get involved is the cost. I think we're going to save that for a little bit later. Cost of one of those slingshots or a micro sprint compared to the cost of one of these dirt modifieds. We'll save that for a little bit later. I would like to kind of go down the line now because we have a really good representation here of different divisions. Mike Dicey and Wayne, I want you to, and Kevin too, can kind of jump in on this. And we won't focus strictly on the 600 micros, although I do want to obviously talk about them. But pretty much 600s, 270s, the various classes of micro sprints. What's good? Is the racing any good?
Racing is awesome. I think the 600s put on the best quality racing of any class out there. I mean, we don't get the fan support as the bigger cars, but you can show up to any 600 track. I'm kind of partial to Lanco. Path Valley puts on some really good racing, but that bank track like that, man, it's slide jobs up and down. I mean, you know, you're there watching it. It's awesome to watch. Half the time I don't even mind not qualifying or wrecking out early because I get to sit back and watch the great racing going on. But our class in general across the nation, I mean, you can go anywhere in the nation and race a micro sprint, a 600cc micro sprint. Our class is probably a little more outlaw, so to speak, compared to the Legend and the Doug's cars, the Borger's cars there. But you can do anything you want with the chassis. You run any kind of tires you want, any kind of shocks you want, any kind of setup. There really are, the rules are wide open on the chassis pretty much. The engines are tightened up quite a bit. And the 270s, I know we're here in Reading where there's a lot of 270 drivers. That class is a great class too. It's a little bit lower cost than the 600s, a little less competitive. I mean, it's not, the racing is just as good, but probably your higher buck guys are in the 600s. But they put on some good racing too.
Wayne, you just saw some down in Florida, Hendry County Speedway, East Bay. You were there for 5 nights of competition.
Well, that's come from an owner's standpoint. We had an opportunity to go sprint car racing, but you know, we'd be racing 1 night a week. And if we wrecked, we might not be racing for 3 weeks. And the cost of our equipment versus what we race for, it's hard. It really is hard to beat. You're not going to make money doing anything ever in racing, ever, not even close. But you know, we have, I don't know. This year we have what, like 3-4 races that pay 10 grand. So, yeah. You know, there's a lot of races. You know, and we raced 70 times last year. Ryan Greth and I raced 70 times. And we would not, you just wouldn't be able to do that in a bigger car. Not for the budget that we have raced. You know, but I think that the 600 class, the innovation, and just the technology. I mean, the cars are very sophisticated. There's a lot of technology built into those cars that you don't see on a lot of other cars. You know, adjustable shocks, wing, just sway bars, everything. You know, some people think maybe it's getting a little too carried away, but I disagree. I think that's what makes the class so attractive. One of the things that makes it attractive. So, and the competition. I mean, most of big name 410 guys now just came out of 600s. You know, and you don't see that with some of the other classes.
You know, if you look at the ARDC midgets, and I know at the end of the season last year, I looked at their top 15 or 20 in the point standings with ARDC. That was a micro guy, that was a micro guy, that was just right down the line. So a lot of them have also graduated from either the 270s or 600 micro sprints. Small cars, and all right, let's stick with that. I was going to talk about the size of the track, or tracks. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kevin. Excuse me.
That's okay. Something to elaborate on Wayne's point there with some of the guys and what you said, Barry, with the ARDC top 10. It was funny because last year, one night at Linda's, we were lined up for a feature, and AJ Michael, who is a former Williams Grove Speedway feature winner, I'm sitting there next to him, and I'm like, my goodness, look at the competition and the people in this class. I'm like, I'm starting next to a guy who won a feature at Williams Grove, and it really, you see so many, and to Wayne's point, that you look at the 410 guys now, and so they all race micro sprints or a smaller car class to get to that division, and you hate to say that it's a stepping stone, but you're seeing guys like AJ and some of the guys who, whether they're finances or personal reasons or whatever the case may be, come back to race 600s, and I think that's a great thing for all the classes, you know, for all the small car classes.